Okay, our first story of the night. If Godzilla versus King Kong goes to HBO Max, Legendary wants $250 million from Warner Brothers.
Yeah. And I got to say, I was very pleased with the thumbnail I put together for this particular one. King Kong as Legendary punching Godzilla as Warner Brothers. I thought that was kind of clever. Yeah, but talk about the streaming wars. This is another indicator that HBO Max did not, and Warner Brothers did not think this through. This was obviously a very reactionary thing. We were speculating on this over the past couple of weeks, saying everybody in the industry was like, "What?" And nobody has been happy with them, from the actors to the competing industry. But now Legendary is very, very upset with them and saying, "Look, you've made a unilateral decision that is directly cutting into what is potentially our profits and what we formed an agreement with you based on. We'll take you to court if we have to."
It sounds like they want what they put into it, maybe more. I'm not sure.
I mean, shocking. I know. I mean, who in business thinks that way, right? Who thinks that business is about making money? I mean, I thought it was all about messaging and SJWing, but apparently, some people actually want to make their investment back.
Think about Godzilla alone. You have to get the rights to do a Godzilla movie. Warner Brothers, I don't think, owns Godzilla. I mean, that's Toho, I believe, in Japan.
Exactly. And we talked about kind of a similar parallel kind of issues last week and the week before when we were talking about James Bond. It's very complicated. Who owns the rights, who licenses, who has distribution rights and all that kind of stuff. But the fact is that you don't even have to untangle that to understand there's a lot of fingers in the pot, and they all are expecting to get something out of it. And if you cut off any of them from their profits, they're going to get angry and they're going to come after you. That's just how business works. Surprise, AT&T, you guys should know that. And again, I can't say that this is a huge surprise to me, but we'll see what happens with it going forward.
Yeah, I do have some quotes from this article. It was understood that the decision would lead to massive losses in box office earnings, and the only gain would be in terms of new subscribers for HBO Max.
Yeah. And here's another problem with that. I think that the guys over on Midnight's Edge probably said this. I don't know. I don't have an original thought in my head. I steal from everybody else, and I just assume that everything that I hear comes from them. So we'll attribute it to them. One of the things they pointed out is that, this is not like Hollywood, right? Releasing general distribution in the theaters, right? Because if you want to get more and more and more profit, your hope is to get more and more and more audience. When you're dealing with a streaming service, there's only so many people with TVs out there in your, field that you can reach. Number one, these streaming services aren't global. These are, United States and a few other countries, maybe. And then you have to form deals with other countries in order to distribute those movies. And once you have a certain number of viewership, you can't double it year after year after year. It doesn't work that way. It's not possible. You eventually max out, and now you have your subscriber base, and the best you can hope is to keep them. So that's what's going to be directly affecting the studios right now. You cannot do huge, big, multi-million-dollar films with these overinflated price tags for the stars, and expect to make that back on your, $25 a month per person per household. It's not going to work, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking that this is it sounds like they're trying to scam these studios they're working with. That's what it sounds like to me, but I don't know. I'm probably oversimplifying that. But, I like this. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I think in the short term, what it comes down to is, and this would be a different argument if this was a much smaller budget film that was made specifically for the streaming service, right? I would say if things go the way they're going in about 3-4 years, when everything is being made specifically for the streaming services, all those agreements are going to be in place up front and we won't have these kind of problems. But we're suffering the aftershocks of films that were made on big budgets expected to go to theaters. And if you put them on your streaming service, up front you're taking a huge loss. And if you're going to do that, then all your creditors need to be in on it and agree to it and agree to take a loss. If they don't, and you make a unilateral decision for them, I mean, that would be like me going to the bank and saying, I'm sorry, I can't afford to pay my mortgage this year. I'm out of work. Well, that's too bad. We're foreclosing on you. Instead of going to them and saying, in the next couple months, I might have some problems. Can we renegotiate? And they say, yeah, we'll stretch it out, whatever. We'll tack the interest.
You mean work with them and figure out a strategy with them? Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. I'm just putting it in terms of, because you know what? I've always contended, because I talk a lot about economics here, right? We talk about the business end of things. We talk about economics. You don't need a huge degree in economics to understand these very simple things. What's true for you, if you live at home with your parents and you make an allowance and you have a part-time job, or you are a homeowner and you're paying on a mortgage, or you're a big multinational company, business works the same way. You go into debt. If you can't pay your debt back, someone's going to foreclose on you. You're going to lose your shirt.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works. So just making analogies that I think you can absolutely, cycle up to the big scale. Anyway, that's just my take on it all.
Oh, here's a back to the drawing board as a comment. It feels very much like Warner Brothers is gambling that theaters will not recover for 5 years or so, if they recover at all, and they're trying to recoup their losses.
So, yes, that's one possibility. The other possibility is they are actually pushing for that outcome, because let's face it, if they force the industry to go this route, that's going to cause that to happen. I mean, it's kind of a chicken and egg kind of thing, right? Are they trying to be the chicken? Are they trying to be the egg? Doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. They've made their decision. But I think most people in the industry, I'm gonna be conservative and generous and say that they're being hopeful that things are going to bounce back and that theaters are going to reopen and whatnot. But I think what's more realistic is they're just deluding themselves. Because I've heard so many people, from Tom Hanks to so many others, saying, oh yeah, they'll be coming back. It'll be fine. Because they're still operating on the same wavelength they were a year ago, when we were told, oh, we're just going to be closed up for a week to lower the curve or whatever, and blah, 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 blah. And then it was, no, that's just going to be a couple months until we have a vaccine, and then everything will go back to normal. And then it was, I don't know. They keep moving the goalposts, but people keep believing this crap. I don't know how stupid you have to be to not realize that they're moving the goalposts and start saying, hey, wait a minute. But no, I've come to realize that a lot of people in Hollywood are just effing stupid. And they honestly do believe that everything's going to be hunky-dory and fine, and they're going to be able to continue to make their millions and millions of dollars per movie and keep their overinflated mansions, and whatnot. Of course, Tom Hanks has already moved out of the country to avoid taxes, so screw him.
Oh, really? I thought he moved to Texas. Never mind. All right.
No, he moved to Greece.
Oh, really? Yep. Oh, my goodness. Okay. I like this quote, though. It would be even more of a loss for Warner to pony up an extra $250 million to Legendary, especially for a movie that is the fourth in a franchise that has not been particularly well received so far. The previous movie in the series, Godzilla King of Monsters, opened to mixed reviews and was a box office disappointment, grossing $386 million worldwide against a budget between $170 to $200 million.
Damn it, Boomer, you're going to get me off on another tangent here. But this is another problem that we have with our franchises. People need to understand that they are a little bit niche, okay? Star Trek fans are Star Trek fans, okay? And the general audience, not real into it. And if you're trying to woo the general audience, you're going to lose the Star Trek fans. And that and swap out Star Trek for Star Wars, for Doctor Who, for Kong and Kaiju. I don't care what you're talking about. You have your fans, you have your general audiences, and you might be able to woo some of the general audience, but that's never going to be your bread and butter. And as long as you go chasing after that, you're going to lose the diehard fans and you're going to lose the franchise. That's true across the board. Absolutely.
Now, they said there was a big problem, though, even how they marketed this series. People argued that when the Kong Skull Island movie came out, people didn't know it was part of the Godzilla franchise or series. They thought it was like a sequel to the Peter Jackson movie. There was a lot of confusion when that came out.
Yeah, and I kind of blame their marketing on that. I say blame. I don't actually think this is a problem, to be honest with you. I think this is one area where ambiguity works in their favor. Yes, they wanted it to be ambiguous. They wanted people that were in the know, the fans of that kaiju thing, to be aware of it, but they also wanted the general audience that all loved, the Peter Jackson Kong, to think of it that way. And in a way, if you really pick it apart, the Easter eggs do imply that it was both, right?
Okay.
It was clearly part of that shared universe with Godzilla, but it makes references that definitely touch on Peter Jackson, and even to some extent the 76
one with Jessica Lange and Jeff Bridges.
Lange, yes, absolutely. Yes, that one too.
Yeah.
There were definitely and yes, they were just Easter eggs. You could say that doesn't necessarily put them in the same universe or anything, but it certainly was their way of trying to capitalize on all fans of everything. That's the way to do it.